Boston, and thank 5 of them for serving on our police commissioner search. Today, we are officially announcing the members of this committee who will work on behalf of Boston residents to identify the next police commissioner. This committee will assist me in appointing the city's next commissioner, which is among the most consequential roles that any city leader plays. Delivering public safety through a lens of public health and community trust requires hard and ongoing work at the Boston Police Department, and that begins with leadership at the very top. It also means building a process that is transparent, communicative, and responsive to our community. The first charge of this committee will be to engage in public and stakeholder meetings to seek feedback on the values, the vision, the skills, experiences, and qualifications that Bostonians expect in our next police commissioner and that we need as a city in this moment. I want to first thank Superintendent-in-Chief and Acting Commissioner Greg Long, who has told me that he cannot be persuaded otherwise not to seek this job, but he has been a close and trusted advisor in not only setting up this search process for his successor, but also in the day-to-day ongoing issues of safety, health, and healing across our communities. So, our search committee members, the committee will be chaired by Justice Geraldine Hines, retired Justice of the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court. Justice Hines brings a lifetime of experience as a judge, a public defender, and an advocate, and we are counting on her wisdom and judgment to lead this committee. She'll be joined by Ed Davis, former commissioner of the Boston Police Department, who led this department for 7 years and has been a trusted partner for this city and has advised police departments across the country and public safety officials. There's no one who knows this job better. Bishop William E. Dickerson, senior pastor at Greater Love Tabernacle Church. Bishop is known across Boston for his leadership in the faith community, his deep ties to our neighborhoods, his long history of activism on behalf of our residents, and as the former chaplain to the Boston Police Department as well. So grateful to have his help and guidance. Abrigal Forrester, Executive Director of Teen Empowerment. Abrigal has worked directly every day with Boston's young people, seeing firsthand the trauma caused by violence and incarceration, his commitment to restorative justice, and his push to ensure that those working in our community organizations and our young people are seen, valued, and treasured is an example for all of us. And Professor Jasmine Gonzalez Rose of Boston University Law School and the BU Center for Anti-Racist Research. Professor Gonzalez Rose has spent her career studying how systemic racism and disparities impact law enforcement and other institutions. We are lucky to be guided by her expertise and passion for justice. Again, we're also joined by Superintendent-in-Chief and Acting Commissioner Greg Long, who has been a partner during these last weeks and doing a job that he never sought with deep commitment and resolve. And so we know he will continue to be a partner and advisor and help work with this committee to identify a permanent commissioner. I'm personally so grateful to him for seeing this process through. I also want to recognize Stephanie Everett, Executive Director of the Office of Police Accountability and Transparency, OPAT, and Dr. Rufus J. Falk, Director of our Office of Public Safety, who are both critical partners for me and the Boston Police Department and our city at large in achieving reforms and a connection to community. Thank you to both of you for being part of this process as well. Last year was the 5th year in a row that both violent crime and property crime have decreased significantly in Boston. Violent crime in 2021 was down 15% from 2020, and property crime down 13%. Homicides continue to decrease as well, with 40 homicides in 2021, down from 56 the year before, although we know that any single act of violence in our city and in our neighborhoods is one too many and unacceptable. We are committed to building a public safety infrastructure that addresses the root causes of violence and trauma, that is equipped to keep all of our residents safe and well. Over the last few years, our challenges with substance use disorder, mental health have only grown, and during this pandemic, the traumas of loss, isolation, and anxiety in navigating COVID-19 clearly show the need for a public safety infrastructure grounded in public health. We must meet people where they are and connect our residents to wraparound services that they need to stay healthy, safe, and whole. The next leader of this department will be a critical partner in building that infrastructure, and so over the coming weeks, there will be many opportunities for Boston residents to weigh in on the process. The first 2 community meetings will take place virtually on Thursday, January 20th at 6 p.m. and Wednesday, January 26th at 12 p.m. More sessions will be announced soon, including opportunities for this committee to sit privately with various stakeholder groups, including our officers, community members, and leaders in the community. To attend these 2 listening sessions that I've just announced, you can register at boston.gov/BPD-commissioner. With insights from the community, the search committee will review potential candidates and work with our team to make an informed decision centering public health, reform, and trust in recommending candidates. Together, I know that we can create a public safety infrastructure in Boston that serves the entire city and delivers the change that we need. I am so excited to begin this work. While we are here, and before I pass it over to each of the committee members, I'm going to just take a moment to talk about the snowstorm and then make sure that I am giving these remarks in Spanish as well. Because of the snow that we are expected to see tomorrow morning during the commute and potentially coming down heavily at that time, Boston Public Schools will be closed tomorrow, January 7th. Guidance on school closures for future dates will be released soon. And now, if you will indulge me. Buenos días. Hoy estoy anunciando un comité de búsqueda de 5 miembros que trabajarán en nombre de los residentes de Boston para identificar al próximo comisionado de policía. Ese comité me asistirá en el nombramiento del próximo comisionado de policía de la ciudad, uno de los roles más importantes en Boston. Ofrecer seguridad pública a través de la lente de la salud pública, y la confianza de la comunidad requiere un trabajo duro y continuo en el Departamento de Policía de Boston y que debe comenzar con el liderazgo en la parte superior. También significa construir un proceso que sea transparente, comunicativo y que responda a nuestra comunidad. Por ello, el primer encargo del comité es participar en reuniones públicas y con las partes interesadas para recabar opiniones sobre los valores, las actitudes y las calificaciones que los bostonianos esperan en un comisario de policía. Tengo el honor de estar con la presidenta de nuestro comité de búsqueda, la jueza Geraldine Hines, jueza jubilada del Tribunal Judicial Supremo de Massachusetts. La jueza Hines aporta toda una vida de experiencia como jueza, defensora pública y abogada. Contamos con su sabiduría y criterio para dirigir este comité. Segundo, Ed Davis, ex comisario del Departamento de Policía de Boston. El comisario Davis dirigió este departamento durante 7 años. Es un socio de confianza para esta ciudad y no hay nadie que conozca mejor este trabajo. También obispo William E. Dickerson, pastor principal de la iglesia Greater Love Tabernacle. El obispo Dickerson es conocido en todo Boston por su liderazgo en la comunidad de fe, sus profundos lazos con nuestros barrios y su larga historia de activismo en nombre de nuestros residentes más vulnerables. Estoy muy agradecido de contar con su ayuda y orientación. Abrigal Forrester, director ejecutivo de Teen Empowerment. Abrigal trabaja directamente todos los días con los jóvenes de Boston en mayor riesgo imaginados, viendo de primera mano el trauma causado por la violencia y el encarcelamiento. Su compromiso con la justicia reparadora es un ejemplo para todos nosotros. Y la profesora Jasmine Gonzalez Rose, de la Facultad de Derecho de la Universidad de Boston y del Centro de Investigación Antirracista de la Universidad de Boston. La profesora Gonzalez Rose ha dedicado su carrera a estudiar cómo el racismo sistémico y las disparidades afectan a la aplicación de la ley y a otras instituciones. Tenemos la suerte de contar con su experiencia y su pasión por la justicia. También nos acompaña nuestro superintendente de jefe y comisario en funciones, Greg Long. El comisario Long ha sido un compañero increíble para mí durante estos últimos meses, haciendo un trabajo que nunca buscó, con profundo compromiso y resolución. Contamos con él para que apoye y asesore a este comité en su labor de identificación de un comisario permanente, y le estoy personalmente muy agradecido al comisario Long por acompañarme en ese proceso. También quiero reconocer a Stephanie Everett, directora ejecutiva de la Oficina de Responsabilidad y Transparencia Policial, OPAT, y al Dr. Rufus J. Falk, director de nuestra Oficina de Seguridad Pública, que son socios fundamentales para mí y para el Boston Police Department en la consecución de las reformas. El año pasado fue el 5º año consecutivo en que tanto los delitos violentos como los delitos contra la propiedad han disminuido significativamente. Los delitos violentos en 2021 bajaron un 15% respecto a 2020 y los delitos contra la propiedad bajaron a 13%. Los homicidios también siguieron disminuyendo, con 40 homicidios en 2021 por debajo de las 56 de 2020. Sin embargo, cualquier acto de violencia en nuestra ciudad es demasiado y es inaceptable. Estamos comprometidos con la construcción de una infraestructura de seguridad pública que aborde las causas fundamentales de la delincuencia y la criminalización y que esté equipada para mantener a todos nuestros residentes seguros y en buen estado. En los últimos años, nuestros retos en materia de trastornos por consumos de sustancias y salud mental no han hecho más que aumentar. Los traumas de la pérdida, el aislamiento y la ansiedad al navegar por una pandemia mundial muestran claramente la necesidad de una infraestructura de seguridad pública basada en la salud pública, que se adapte a las personas donde están y conecte a nuestros residentes con los servicios integrales que necesitan para mantenerse sanos, seguros y completos. El próximo líder del Departamento de Policía será un socio fundamental en la construcción de esa infraestructura. En las próximas semanas, los habitantes de Boston tendrán muchas oportunidades de participar en este proceso. Las 2 primeras reuniones comunitarias tendrán lugar de forma virtual, el jueves 20 de enero a las 6 de la tarde y el miércoles 26 de enero a las 12 de la tarde. Pronto se anunciarán más sesiones. Para asistir a estas reuniones, regístrese en boston.gov/BPD-Commissioner. Con las ideas de la comunidad, el comité de búsqueda revisará los posibles candidatos y trabajará con mi oficina para tomar una decisión informada centrada en la salud pública, la reforma y la confianza. Juntos, sé que podemos crear una infraestructura de seguridad pública en Boston que sirva a las necesidades de toda nuestra ciudad y que aporte cambios. Estoy entusiasmado por comenzar este importante trabajo. Y quiero dedicar un momento también a hablar de tormenta de nieve que se espera que llegue a Boston. Debido a la nieve, las escuelas públicas de Boston estarán cerradas mañana, 7 de enero. Pronto se publicarán orientaciones sobre el cierre de las escuelas en fechas futuras. Okay, thank you so much, and I will pass it now over to Madam Chair Geraldine Hines.
Mayor Wu, I am honored and delighted that you have given me this opportunity to lead the search for the next police commissioner, which for you will be a decision of great consequence for our city and for the people of Boston. And I am privileged to be part of this new beginning for policing in our city at a time when you, as our leader, have expressed your commitment to using every tool at your disposal to accomplish the transformation that is essential and urgent at this point in our history. Commissioner Long, thank you for bringing us to this point, and we will do our best to get this done so that you can get on with your life and your family. I have devoted much of my professional life over the last 50 years as a social justice activist, lawyer, and jurist to the quest for justice in policing and in our criminal legal system more broadly. I hope and trust that my years of experience engaging with the community and with our courts on this issue will yield insight and wisdom as our committee takes on the task of identifying for your consideration candidates who are committed to leading the city's journey to systemic reform in policing, a reform that centers fairness, justice, accountability, and transparency. I am excited at the prospect of getting to know the members of this team, each of whom brings an important and unique perspective to the task at hand. Starting with mutual respect for our respective life experiences, we will labor with every bit of energy we can muster to provide you, Mayor Wu, with a top-notch slate of candidates qualified and willing to meet the challenges that will come in the long and difficult task of reforming policing in our city and advancing public safety for all Bostonians. Thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to the work ahead.
Thank you so much, Justice Hines. Next, I'll invite up Commissioner Ed Davis.
Thank you, Mayor, and a sincere thank you for allowing me to be part of this tremendous and powerful team that we have here. It's an honor to be able to serve the citizens of Boston in this capacity and to assist the mayor in this very important appointment. This is a challenging time for police and community, and our cities are doing an incredible job in working through very difficult problems. Transparency, a strong connection with the community, understanding what the community is expecting from police, and reform of our practices is something that's extremely necessary in this day and age. And so I look forward to being able to identify individuals from across the country who may be able to bring those characteristics to this position and to make Boston continue to be one of the best police departments in the country. Commissioner Long has kept the crime rate down. There's been some success that other cities across the country are not seeing, that the challenges they're facing are much more complicated, and the crime rate is rising. And so it's very important for the citizens of the city to maintain their safety and at the same time have a police department that's accountable and transparent and working very closely with them. So I'm thrilled to be involved in this, looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next up, Bishop William Dickerson.
Thank you, Mayor Wu, and thank you, Acting Commissioner Long, and for those that have been working hard to strengthen the structural integrity of the Boston Police Department and to think about reform moving forward. I know as we see numbers go down in terms of violence, you wonder why is there yet problems? Well, we need a commissioner, I believe, that can help us to bridge some of the gaps, to be a bridge builder throughout the communities in Boston. We have a lot of diverse issues, a lot of diverse communities that come together when they're dealing with certain problems within the community, within the city. And I think that as we have worked together in the times past, we need to build upon positive things that can help us move forward. So we need to do that from a lens of equity, a lens of integrity, and a lens of accountability. And I'm confident that we have a good chairperson that's in place that can help us to vet potential candidates so as we have the next police commissioner will be in place to work with everyone. And so I thank our mayor, I thank everyone who loves Boston, and we'll work together to make this next move a very powerful and effective move. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop. Next up, Director Abrigal Forrester.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank you, Mayor Wu, and her team for selecting me to be on the search committee with such esteemed members. As a first-generation Caribbean American growing up in Common Square, I experienced firsthand the root causes of crime and criminalization that Boston youth experience every day. I've also experienced some of the highest levels of conflict between communities of color and law enforcement, from the busing era to the impact of the Charles Stewart case. I'm committed to elevating the voices of young people in this community-led process to reimagine our public safety systems from the ground up. The diversity of experiences on this search committee is an opportunity for all of us to build a better future for youth and families dealing with criminal justice issues in this community. I look forward to thinking about who we bring on board as the next commissioner. At the core of the work that I do with young people at Teen Empowerment, we talk about values and beliefs. And I think that one of the core tenets of what we need to look for in our next commissioner is someone who has the values and beliefs of community reform and reimagining the system that we currently see as being somewhat broken. I want to thank the mayor again for bringing me on board, and I look forward to working with all the members to have a successful transition for Commissioner Long. Thank you.
Thank you, Abrigal. And Professor Jasmine Gonzalez-Rose.
I am so honored to be part of this committee. So I thank Mayor Wu, and I thank her for her example in this moment of really thinking critically about what our community needs in terms of public health and public safety. As someone who teaches in the area of evidence, criminal law, racism in the law, specifically focusing on Latinos, Latinx, and the law, I'm really excited to be engaging with the members of this community, the members of this committee, and really hearing from impacted communities and hearing from officers who are on the ground. As someone who studies racism and linguicism and thinks a lot about how policies have an impact on people's safety, and as someone who came to law because I was a victim and survivor rights advocate, I'm so pleased to be here and to be in conversation. So I look forward to the weeks ahead, and I look forward to learning more from the amazing people in Boston. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Questions from the media?
Are there any concerns that there will be resistance or pushback from BPD rank and file to any outsider that's chosen as commissioner? Is that dynamic unavoidable?
By and large, I've had the chance to connect with officers and leaders within our Boston Police Department over the last couple weeks and over the last few months as well. Our officers are ready for a partnership with the mayor's office to ensure that we are moving forward in building community trust and delivering on what we all know that Boston needs, which is to celebrate the good that is happening, the professionalism of our department, the history of leading the way in so many areas such as community policing, and also to continue building on that to make sure that we are implementing the reforms necessary so that we continue to be a leader. So everything is on the table. That has been clear from the beginning, and this committee is charged with finding the best candidates no matter where they currently may be working right now.
What attributes are you looking for in a new commissioner?
So this is why the process has been set up how it is that it's not going to be around one individual person's decision of what attributes we're looking for or what connection I have with someone. The first phase of this process truly will be listening to the community. And so we will receive all of that feedback, and it is the residents of Boston who will determine what attributes our next police commissioner must have.
Talk a little bit more about timeline. When do you hope to have a commissioner?
Yeah, the hope is by spring. We will move as quickly as possible, but do this in a very comprehensive and thorough way. Step one is to really listen in community, with the general public, as well as with key stakeholder groups like officers. We look forward to inviting in Mem Leo and Jago and other organizations, our police unions as well as community members representing various advocacy groups and stakeholders. Once all of that feedback has been received, we will make sure that there is a set of criteria and parameters for the search, and then engage in sourcing candidates, interviewing, vetting, and then making a decision.
Can you give an update on OPAT? Is it up and running? And if not, what's the timeline there?
Where does Stephanie go? Do you want to say anything on OPAT? Sure, yeah.
OPAT is up and running. It has been up and running. We have staff. We're currently hiring more staff. You can look on boston.gov and boston.gov/OPAT and find out more information. We just filed our semi-annual report last week, so you can look on that to see what we have been up to for the past 6-7 months. But we have been up and running. I have a chief of staff, a deputy director. We are hiring for intake workers and currently looking for a data analyst. We are. We do have an online intake form that's been on our website since, I believe, the end of October, beginning of November. And we've revamped it a little bit more, so that'll be updated a little bit more in the next couple of weeks as well.
This one's for the mayor and I guess all the committee members. There's a lot of talk of reform, broken system. What are some specific reforms you're looking to make here?
Okay, so the question was, what are some specific reforms we're looking to make in the police department overall, you mean, once a new commissioner is in place? Okay. I had, in the course of many months listening and being out in community over the campaign trail, put together some suggestions and parameters around places that we need to be thinking about our next contracts and collective bargaining agreements, as well as larger reforms. For me, the bottom line is public safety and public health are deeply interconnected, and every way that we run our police department should reflect that. So some of this will be ongoing while the search is running in parallel, and much of it will be shaped by the leadership in the next police commissioner. So we continue to explore what the city should be doing around alternative response to crisis calls, 911 calls that come in, changes to how the contracts may reflect accountability and overtime decisions, and larger ways in which the City of Boston is implementing some of the recent legislation coming out of the City Council around public safety as well.
Sort of instructions or directions that you're giving to the committee saying, I really like this attribute in the next police commissioner, or are you sort of leaving it up to them?
The question is, are there any specific instructions to the committee? I'll ask the committee members if they want to come up at all, but it's been very broad. Right? We truly mean it when this first step is listening to community members and sourcing that feedback from across Boston to define the parameters that we'll be basing this search on. You know, for me, of course, this person will need to be a key partner that is part of our overall team and fits in with our larger cabinet. And so I look forward to the point at which we'll be doing one-on-one interviews and having those conversations. But this search very much will be guided by the feedback and insights from Boston residents on what we need.
Are you more intrigued by an external candidate or an internal candidate? I mean, I remember when Commissioner Davis came in from Lowell, for example.
Yeah, I think this is not about, just to reiterate, nothing has been decided. There's no bias going in towards any type of candidate. This leader will need to be aligned in the vision that Boston residents put forward around what we need for our department, and be skilled and have demonstrated experience in building community trust. But we will follow the guidance of our residents in setting those parameters, and then connect with individual candidates from there, both locally and nationally.
On schools, are you interested in sort of pushing back on state authorities and allowing for schools to go remote? Is that something that you're actively doing?
We are in the midst of a very significant surge of the Omicron variant and of COVID-19. Whether or not the state changes their policy on remote learning, whether or not the state changes their policy on in-person learning as the only option, we are approaching the point at which specific Boston schools may need to close with or without remote learning. In some schools, 40% plus of staff are absent because of COVID-19. And we're evaluating hour by hour with each school leader about what is feasible. But it is getting to the point with staffing that it is quite difficult in some schools. We're having central office pitch in and teaching even in some cases. So it may get to the point where we will need to move to a snow day with or without snow, that according to the state's policy. Sorry, just to clarify on that, what I mean by snow day, the current policy is that only in-person days count towards the required number of school days that the Boston Public Schools and all of our schools must reach. And so if we are unable to staff a school, even if we offer remote learning on that day, we, according to the current policy, need to treat it as if it were a snow day and therefore be made up at the end of the year if we run through our allotted snow day allotment. Sean?
Do you think those kinds of, like, going back to the policing issues, do you think those kinds of big picture reforms will be popular with both the public and the police department as well?
I'll invite any of the committee members to weigh in because they truly represent the expertise of the community. The question was, will these big picture reforms be popular with the community and with the department? Anyone want to chime in?
I think sometimes we underestimate the level of concern and intellect of the average citizen in Boston, and especially those within the inner city. I don't think that they will be intimidated by the process of what we're talking about today and, you know, a bigger scale. I think that they just want the best candidate, and I think that we present the best candidate, then we can't predict the future. We just have to move forward and work with them.
There's not much I can say to this question. I think Pastor Dickerson answered it correctly. However, when we talk about popularity, I don't think transformative justice is ever popular, right? When you're starting to thinking about reimagining systems that have been the longest standing system in this country, which is BPD and law enforcement, to think about how we reimagine relationships between community and law enforcement is going to be a challenge. The question is, how do we get everyone at the same place, in the same room, to have intellectual discussions and share their values so that we can come to a conclusion where someone who's leading the conversation and the engagement between law enforcement and the community is one that is healthy and leads to a positive future, specifically for young people who are going to be living under the guise of the institution of law enforcement within the community that they live in.
Yeah, and I'll just add again, because we are grounding this search in the feedback and lived experiences and recommendations of our Boston residents through listening first, the leader that we choose will be aligned with that vision and those values, and we will continue making sure that Boston is the best, safest, healthiest, strongest possible city we can be.
Can I ask one snow?
Yes.
Already are we? There's a snowplow driver shortage, all of this is about to snap. So what do people expect tomorrow?
I want to thank so many of our city departments who were up early on a snow emergency management call just to check in across the cabinet. Our Public Works Department has stated that they feel very confident and prepared for the level of equipment that we'll have, the number of pieces of equipment that we'll have on the roads. It is, the timing of this storm looks to overlap with the morning commute. Some of the heaviest precipitation will happen during that time, so we will do our best to get salt on the roads before that and clean up after that. But it's a well-oiled machine, and I'm so grateful to many, many of our leaders in this city who have prepared and have this down to a science on how we keep the roads clear and keep everyone safe. Yeah, we are not at the point yet of calling a snow emergency. We do, given that it's during the morning commute, decided the safest route for Boston Public School students, especially given bus driver shortages, was to call a snow day for school, because the last thing we want is for any of our young people to be out waiting for a bus as the snow is coming down. But we'll keep monitoring the weather and make sure that as the details become firmer as we get closer to this, that we'll keep everyone informed. Adrian is silent. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone.